There is a dangerous assumption floating around the SGX forums right now, and frankly, it worries me. I see it in the comments, I see it in the Telegram groups, and I hear it from investors who are desperate for yield. The logic goes something like this. You look at Coliwoo, which listed back in November, and you see a company that pays a dividend. Then you see the Assembly Place, or TAP, listing this January, and you see that they are also profitable. And your brain makes a shortcut. You think, aha, the Assembly Place is just the next Coliwoo. It is the next dividend play. I missed the first one, so I better jump on this one. If you are thinking that way, I need you to pause. That logic is flawed. It is a trap. And if you are not careful, that assumption could cost you significant capital. We are looking at the Assembly Place listing on the Catalist board this coming January 23rd, 2026. And yes, the headline numbers look attractive. They are reporting a profit of 6.2 million Singapore dollars for the financial year 2024. But here is the reality check. A $6.2 million profit figure hides a massive gap between this Catalist debut and the Coliwoo mainboard listing. As a researcher focused on capital preservation, I see a clear divergence here. We are looking at two very different animals. One is a heavy asset-backed mainboard player, and the other is a nimble asset-light Catalist growth story. If you are a retiree looking for safe yield, you need to understand why asset-light might actually mean dividend-light for your portfolio. I'm Iggy, your Singapore-based private investor and market researcher. Since October 2025, we've built a community of over 5,300 investors and produced over 1,300 videos. We are home to a growing inner circle of over 100 paid members across YouTube and Substack. If you are new and wondering which to join, the YouTube membership S6 for the heavy analytics, but the YouTube bundle covers both. Choose what fits your style. But today, let's dive into the numbers. Let's start with the most fundamental difference that most retail investors completely overlook. The listing board itself. The Assembly Place is listing on the Catalist board. Coliwoo, through its parent LHN, operates on the main board. Now, you might be asking, Iggy, why does that matter? A stock is a stock, right? Well, let's define the difference. The main board is the primary platform of the Singapore Exchange. It is designed for established companies with a proven track record. To get on the main board, you have to pass strict quantitative tests regarding profit, market capitalization, and operating history. It is the blue chip club. It implies a certain level of stability and regulatory scrutiny. The Catalist board, on the other hand, is the secondary board. It is designed specifically for fast-growing companies that might not yet meet the strict profit requirements of the main board. It is a sponsor-supervised regime. That means the regulation is slightly different. It allows for higher growth, yes, but it inevitably comes with higher risk and often higher volatility. So, what does this mean for you as a Singaporean investor? If you are holding this stock in your retirement portfolio, the listing board dictates the liquidity and the safety profile. When a company like the Assembly Place chooses the Catalist board, despite having $6.2 million in profit, it sends a signal. It usually signals that they want regulatory flexibility. They want the freedom to burn cash for growth, rather than being held to the strict dividend and reporting standards of a mature mainboard company. They are looking for fuel to run, not a foundation to rest on. If you are looking for a stock that lets you sleep well at night, you have to ask yourself, am I comfortable with the Wild West rules of the Catalist board, or do I need the safety of the main board? Now let's move to the second major point, and this is the core of the business model, the concept of asset-light versus asset-heavy. The headline story for the Assembly Place is a massive turnaround. They went from a loss of nearly $900,000 in 2023 to a profit of $6.2 million in 2024. That is an impressive 32% jump in revenue. No one is denying that is a great growth story. However, you must look at how they make that money. TAP operates an asset-light model. Let's define what asset-light actually means in the context of co-living and real estate. In a traditional asset-heavy model, like what Coliwoo or LHN does, the company actually buys the land and the building. They own the physical brick and mortar. They have the title deed. In an asset-light model, the company does not own most of the buildings. Instead, they sign what we call master leases. Basically, they go to a landlord like Centurion or an individual building owner, and they say, I will rent this entire building from you for 5 years at a fixed price. And then they renovate it, chop it up into rooms, and sublet those rooms to individual tenants. Now, on paper, economists love asset-light models. Why? Because of a metric called return on equity, or ROE. Because you haven't spent millions buying the building, your upfront capital is low. So when you make a profit, your percentage return looks sky high. It looks efficient, but here is the so what for your portfolio. While asset light is great for ROE when times are good, it is terrible for cash flow stability when occupancy drops. Think about it. You have signed a master lease. That means you owe the landlord rent every single month, regardless of whether you have tenants or not. It is a fixed liability. If the economy slows down, or if the rental market in Singapore softens, which many analysts are predicting for 2026, due to a flood of new condo supply, TAP's margins get squeezed from both sides. They still have to pay the high fixed rent to the landlord, but they are collecting less rent from tenants. That profit margin can vanish very quickly. Compare that to Coliwoo. Because they own a significant portion of their assets, they have a buffer. If the market crashes, they still own the building. They don't have a landlord breathing down their neck demanding rent. The physical asset provides a floor to their valuation. I view TAP's $6.2 million profit as what we call operational beta. That means it is highly sensitive to market fluctuations. It is leveraged to the rental cycle. If you are a retiree, do you want your monthly income to depend on whether 20-somethings are renting co-living spaces at top dollar? Or do you want the security of owning the underlying asset? This brings us to the third point, and frankly, this is the deal breaker for my income-focused readers, the dividend policy. If you look at Coliwoo, they explicitly committed to a dividend policy of paying out at least 40% of their profit. They just recommended a 2-cent dividend. Depending on where you bought in, that translates to a yield of roughly 3 to 4%. It is tangible, it is cash in the bank. Now let's look at the Assembly Place. In its preliminary prospectus, that's the legal document they filed before listing, they stated quite clearly that they do not have a fixed dividend policy. Let me repeat that. No fixed dividend policy. Instead, they stated that they intend to use their proceeds for expansion into Malaysia and sourcing new property assets. So, is this a trap? Well, not if you are a venture capitalist. But if you are a dividend investor, it certainly looks like one. This is classic growth stage behavior. They are telling you upfront in black and white, we are going to take the profits we make, and instead of giving them to you, we are going to reinvest them into a hotel in Bangsa, Kuala Lumpur. Let's pause and look at the implication here. If you are using your CPF or your SRS funds to invest, you generally want one of two things. You want yield, cash flow to pay for your daily expenses, or you want safe compounders, companies that grow steadily and reliably. The Assembly Place is neither of those right now. It is a venture-style bet on the co-living theme, investing in a company that is just starting to expand into Malaysian hospitality, carries what we call execution risk. You have currency fluctuation risk, the Malaysian ringgit versus the Singapore dollar. If the ringgit weakens, their profits in Singapore dollar terms go down. Even if the business is doing well, you have operational complexity. Managing a team in a different country with different laws and different cultures. I generally have a rule of thumb. I avoid SGX companies during their first year of overseas expansion. It is almost always messy, and it almost always burns more cash than they expect. So, how much should you pay for this? If you are going to take this risk, you better be getting a bargain, right? We need to look at valuation. I don't just guess at these numbers. I check the Investing Pro models, and the algorithmic fair value pegs the benchmark LHN Limited at a very interesting level. Let's look at LHN Limited, the parent of Coliwoo, to see what a healthy co-living business looks like right now. Currently, LHN is trading at around 67 cents. But the institutional models on Investing Pro peg the fair value at 77 cents. That is a 15.1% upside buffer. That means you are buying $1 worth of value for 67 cents. Furthermore, LHN has a financial health score of 4 out of 5. That indicates great performance. This score is driven by high profitability, health, and strong cash flow. And if you look at the pro tips on the platform, it explicitly highlights, pays a significant dividend to shareholders. If you want to run these numbers on your own portfolio, stop guessing. I've arranged a special New Year deal for you on Investing Pro. Use the link below with code INVESTINGIGUANA for 55% off. Now, why did I bring up LHN's valuation? Because that is your benchmark. This is the difference between a mature stock and a growth IPO. With LHN, the models confirm you are buying an undervalued asset that pays you to wait. With the Assembly Place, you will likely be paying a premium for future growth that hasn't happened yet. If TAP lists with a PE ratio, that's price to earnings ratio, above 12 times, you have to ask yourself a very serious question. Why would I pay a premium for a company with no dividend policy and high execution risk when I can buy the market leader at a discount with a 4 out of 5 health score? So, let's wrap this up with a clear action plan. What do we actually do with the Assembly Place IPO? I am breaking this down into two categories of investors. First, for the dividend investors. If you are a retiree or if you are investing your CPF money, my advice is simple: avoid. The lack of a dividend policy and the Catalist listing make this unsuitable for a predictable income portfolio. The risk of your capital being trapped in a low liquidity Catalist stock is simply too high relative to the zero yield you are getting. Stick to Coliwoo or LHN Group, where the high shareholder yield is data verified and the assets are already in place. Second, for the growth investors, my advice is wait. Do not rush in on IPO day. There is no need to be a hero. Wait for the first 2 quarterly reports post-listing. We need to verify 2 things before we put our money down. Number 1, are the margins holding up as they scale to Malaysia? And number 2, is this asset-light model generating actual free cash flow, or is it just generating accounting profit? There is a big difference. If you are absolutely bullish on the co-living theme and you want to participate, there is a smarter play. We call it the pair trade strategy. Instead of betting on the operator, watch Centurion Corp or LHN Limited. These are the landlords. These are the guys who might be leasing properties to operators like the Assembly Place. In a gold rush, you don't want to be the one digging for gold. You want to be the one selling the shovels. Or in this case, leasing the buildings. The verdict is this: the Assembly Place is an exciting company. It has energy, it has growth. But an IPO is a fundraising event for them. It is not necessarily a profit event for you. Let the dust settle. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next analysis.